Humans have conquered the Earth. We build cities, dominate ecosystems, and sit at the top of the food chain. Yet, despite all our advancements, a staggering number of people still die each year due to animals. But it's not the lions, sharks, or venomous snakes that claim the most lives. The number one killer, the mosquito. Number two, humans themselves. But the third? A creature so small and unassuming that most people never give it a second thought, the freshwater snail. While this tiny mollusk might seem harmless, it plays a deadly role in a parasitic infection that kills nearly 200,000 people annually. And most shockingly, it does so without ever directly attacking anyone. Freshwater snails are among the most adaptable and widespread creatures on Earth, inhabiting lakes, rivers, ponds, and swamps across every continent except Antarctica. There are thousands of species, each uniquely suited to its environment, ranging from tiny, almost translucent snails barely visible to the naked eye to larger species with thick, armored shells. Despite their small size and seemingly insignificant presence in aquatic ecosystems, these creatures play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of their habitats. They graze on algae, help decompose organic matter, and serve as a food source for fish, birds, and other animals. Their shells, which spiral in various intricate patterns, serve as both a protective barrier and a buoyancy aid, allowing them to move effortlessly through the water. Some species have developed the ability to seal themselves inside their shells during harsh conditions, such as droughts or extreme temperatures, entering a state of hibernation until conditions improve. This ability to survive in fluctuating environments contributes to their incredible resilience and widespread distribution. Freshwater snails are also prolific breeders. Some species reproduce sexually, while others can clone themselves, ensuring rapid population growth. This reproductive efficiency allows them to colonize new habitats quickly, sometimes becoming invasive species when introduced to regions where they have no natural predators. Their ability to adapt to various diets further enhances their survival, as they can consume algae, detritus, and even decaying animal matter, making them highly opportunistic feeders. However, their most notable and dangerous trait is their ability to act as hosts for parasites, specifically blood flukes, the primary cause of schistosomiasis. While the snails themselves pose no direct threat to humans, their role in the life cycle of these deadly parasites makes them one of the most dangerous creatures in the world. Blood flukes, scientifically known as schistosoma, are parasitic flatworms that require both freshwater snails and humans to complete their life cycle. The process begins when infected humans release parasite eggs through their urine or feces into bodies of freshwater. Once in the water, the eggs hatch into larvae, which must find and infect a freshwater snail to continue their development. Inside the snail, the parasites undergo several stages of transformation, multiplying rapidly before being released back into the water as highly infectious, free-swimming larvae. At this stage, the larvae are microscopic and nearly undetectable to the human eye, making them a silent but deadly threat. Unlike many parasites that require ingestion to infect their host, blood flukes bypass the digestive system entirely. Instead, they penetrate human skin upon contact with contaminated water, burrowing into blood vessels and traveling through the circulatory system. This ability to infect people directly through the skin makes schistosomiasis alarmingly easy to contract, especially for those who rely on freshwater sources for drinking, bathing, or agriculture. Once inside the body, the parasites migrate to blood vessels around the intestines and bladder, where they mature into adult worms. These worms can live for years, sometimes decades, continuously laying eggs that cause severe inflammation and tissue damage. Some of the eggs exit the body to continue the cycle, but many become trapped in organs, leading to chronic health issues and, in many cases, eventual death. Schistosomiasis, also known as snail fever, often begins with mild symptoms that can be mistaken for other illnesses. In the early stages, infected individuals may experience itching or a rash at the site of infection, followed by flu-like symptoms such as fever, chills, muscle aches, and a persistent cough. These initial symptoms occur as the immune system reacts to the invading parasites, but they often go unnoticed or are misdiagnosed as minor infections. As the disease progresses, the real damage begins. The eggs laid by the parasites trigger intense inflammation, scarring, and obstruction in critical organs. The liver and intestines are particularly vulnerable, leading to abdominal pain, bloody diarrhea, and severe swelling. Over time, chronic infection results in fibrosis and irreversible organ damage, causing complications such as liver failure, pulmonary hypertension, and neurological disorders. One of the most dangerous long-term effects of schistosomiasis is its impact on the kidneys. The immune system's response to the constant presence of parasite eggs can lead to glomerulonephritis, a condition that impairs the kidney's ability to filter waste from the blood. Left untreated, this can progress to full-blown kidney failure, which is one of the leading causes of death associated with the disease. Neurological complications can also arise if the parasites migrate to the brain or spinal cord. In these cases, symptoms may include seizures, paralysis, and cognitive impairment, further diminishing the quality of life for those affected. Despite the severity of schistosomiasis, many infected individuals remain undiagnosed or untreated due to limited access to medical care, particularly in rural areas where the disease is most prevalent. While antiparasitic medications such as praziquantel can effectively kill adult worms, they do not prevent reinfection, nor do they reverse organ damage caused by long-term infection. This makes prevention and awareness crucial in combating the disease. The fact that a simple, unassuming creature like a freshwater snail plays such a pivotal role in this devastating cycle of infection is both fascinating and terrifying. These snails, often overlooked in discussions about deadly animals, are responsible for harboring and spreading one of the most significant parasitic infections in the world. Unlike predators that kill with teeth or venom, freshwater snails silently contribute to an invisible but deadly pandemic, making them one of the most underestimated threats to human health. For those who survive the early stages of schistosomiasis, the battle is far from over. The real devastation of the disease lies in its chronic phase, which can last for years or even decades, silently eroding the body from within. Unlike acute infections that cause immediate, noticeable symptoms, chronic schistosomiasis often progresses slowly, leading to irreversible damage that accumulates over time. The longer a person remains infected, the more widespread and severe the consequences become. One of the primary organs affected is the liver. As the parasite eggs accumulate in the blood vessels surrounding the liver, the immune system responds with intense inflammation, leading to the formation of scar tissue, a condition known as fibrosis. Over time, this fibrosis disrupts normal liver function, preventing the organ from properly detoxifying the blood and regulating important metabolic processes. This can eventually lead to portal hypertension, a severe condition in which increased pressure in the liver's blood vessels causes veins to swell and rupture, leading to life-threatening internal bleeding. Many people with advanced schistosomiasis suffer from chronic abdominal pain, swelling, and severe digestive complications, including malnutrition and an inability to properly absorb nutrients. The intestines are another major site of damage. As schistosome eggs become lodged in the intestinal walls, they trigger ulcers, chronic diarrhea, and intestinal blockages. In some cases, prolonged infection can lead to bowel perforation, a dangerous condition in which holes form in the intestinal wall, allowing waste and bacteria to leak into the abdominal cavity, causing deadly infections. Persistent diarrhea and blood loss can result in severe anemia, further weakening the body and increasing susceptibility to other diseases. Schistosomiasis also has a profound impact on the urinary system. When the parasites infect blood vessels around the bladder, they cause chronic inflammation that leads to fibrosis and scarring. Over time, this can result in bladder dysfunction, painful urination, and an increased risk of bladder cancer. Many individuals with long-term infections experience blood in their urine, a telltale sign of extensive internal damage. Perhaps the most devastating consequence of chronic schistosomiasis is kidney failure. The kidneys play a crucial role in filtering toxins from the blood, regulating fluid balance, and maintaining essential electrolyte levels. When schistosome eggs become trapped in the kidney's tiny filtering structures, they cause progressive inflammation and scarring. Over time, this leads to glomerulonephritis, a severe condition that impairs kidney function and ultimately results in organ failure. Once the kidneys lose their ability to filter waste, toxins accumulate in the bloodstream, leading to symptoms such as extreme fatigue, swelling, confusion, and eventually death. The lungs and heart are not spared from the parasite's destructive effects. In some cases, schistosome eggs travel through the bloodstream to the pulmonary arteries, where they cause chronic inflammation and scarring. This leads to pulmonary hypertension, a condition that puts extreme strain on the heart and lungs, making it difficult for the body to receive enough oxygen. Over time, this can result in heart failure, shortness of breath, and a drastically reduced lifespan. Neurological complications are another serious risk of chronic schistosomiasis. If the parasites migrate to the brain or spinal cord, they can trigger seizures, paralysis, and severe cognitive impairment. In rare but particularly devastating cases, schistosomiasis can lead to permanent neurological disabilities, robbing individuals of their ability to function independently. Despite the staggering toll of the disease, schistosomiasis remains one of the most overlooked global health crises. Each year, an estimated 200,000 people die as a direct or indirect result of the infection, but many experts believe this number is vastly underestimated due to underreporting and misdiagnosis. In regions where healthcare infrastructure is limited, schistosomiasis-related deaths are often attributed to complications such as kidney failure, liver disease, or heart failure, without recognizing the parasitic infection as the underlying cause. Schistosomiasis is sometimes referred to as a disease of poverty, as it disproportionately affects communities with poor sanitation, limited access to clean water, and inadequate health care. In many parts of Africa, Asia, and South America, millions of people are at risk simply because they rely on contaminated freshwater sources for bathing, washing clothes, and irrigation. Children, in particular, are highly vulnerable as they often play and swim in infected waters, exposing themselves to parasites at a young age. Efforts to combat schistosomiasis have been met with mixed success. One of the most effective strategies is mass drug administration (MDA) programs, where entire communities are given doses of praziquantel, the primary medication used to treat the infection. While praziquantel is highly effective at killing adult worms, it does not prevent reinfection, meaning that people who continue to be exposed to contaminated water can become infected again soon after treatment. Another approach involves reducing the population of freshwater snails that serve as the parasite's intermediate host. This is often done through environmental modifications, such as draining stagnant water, introducing natural predators, or using chemical molluscicides. However, these measures are not always sustainable, as they can disrupt local ecosystems and harm non-target species. Public awareness and education are also crucial components of the fight against schistosomiasis. In many high-risk areas, people are unaware of the dangers posed by contaminated water and may not recognize the symptoms of the disease until it is too late. By promoting hygiene practices, encouraging the use of protective footwear in infested waters, and improving access to clean drinking water, the spread of schistosomiasis can be significantly reduced. Despite these efforts, schistosomiasis remains a persistent threat, largely due to the lack of global attention and funding. Unlike diseases such as malaria or tuberculosis, which receive substantial resources for research and treatment, schistosomiasis is often overshadowed in discussions about public health priorities. This neglect allows the disease to continue spreading, silently claiming lives year after year. For individuals living in high-risk areas, the best defense against schistosomiasis is simple but not always feasible: avoiding contaminated water. In regions where clean water sources are scarce, this can be an impossible task. Until more comprehensive solutions are implemented, millions will remain at risk of infection, and the freshwater snail, despite its harmless appearance, will continue to play a deadly role in one of the world's most underappreciated health crises.